There is a rumor whispered across the vast continent of Asia, a rumor that one man, born in a felt tent, with no kingdom, no wealth, no written language, left behind a legacy so enormous that it still lives inside the bodies of millions of people today. Not in monuments, not in ruins, not in history books, but in their blood. A genetic shadow stretching across an entire continent, like a ghost that refuses to fade. Who was he? A warlord, a visionary, a monster, a maker of nations, a destroyer of worlds? His name was Genghis Khan, the single most consequential human being ever to walk the earth. In just one lifetime, he rose from a starving outcast to the ruler of a world-spanning empire, commanding armies that moved faster than storms and struck harder than anything the medieval world had ever seen. Empires fell before him, kings fled from him, cities vanished under his command. He redrew the borders of continents, not with ink, but with fire. And yet, his most staggering legacy was not the empire he built or the civilizations he crushed. It was the impossible biological footprint he left behind. When geneticists first mapped the Y chromosomes of millions of men across Eurasia, they discovered something so shocking that it challenged everything they understood about population history. A single male bloodline, one lineage, had exploded across the continent with a speed and scale never seen before in human evolution. So dominant, so widespread, that today 1 out of every 200 men on Earth may carry that same ancient mark, a mark with a clear origin and a single name. This is not just the story of a conqueror. It is the story of a man who reshaped humanity itself. A man whose rise from misery to absolute power is one of the most brutal and extraordinary transformations in history. This is the story of the storm born on the steppe, the horseman who united the tribes, the emperor whose descendants spread across continents, and the man whose DNA still rides inside millions of us today. This is Genghis Khan, the man who changed the DNA of the world. Before Genghis Khan carved his name into the bones of history, the world he was born into was a place of chaos, a place where survival itself was an achievement. The 12th century Mongolian steppe was not a land of kings or cities. It was an ocean of grass stretching endlessly to the horizon, where winter could freeze a man solid and summer could dry a river to dust. Life here was unforgiving, brutal, relentless. There were no borders, no castles, no standing armies, only tribes, fierce, proud, and constantly at war. The Tatars, the Merkits, the Naimans, the Kurit. Each tribe held its own territory, its own customs, its own rivalries. And among them, betrayal was more common than peace. Alliances shifted with the seasons. Blood feuds lasted generations. A stolen horse could ignite a war. A broken promise could end a family. Children were taught to ride before they could walk, to hunt before they could speak, to kill long before they understood the meaning of life. This was a world where strength was the only law, and weakness was a death sentence. In the middle of this world, in the shadow of a mountain called Burkhan Khaldun, a boy named Temujin entered the world, not with the blessing of a kingdom, but with the curse of a fractured lineage. His father, Yesugei, was a respected leader, but respect meant little on the steppe. A rival tribe poisoned him when Temujin was only 9 years old. With the father gone, the family's power evaporated instantly, like smoke in the wind. His tribe abandoned them, left them to die. His mother scraped roots and wild onions from frozen soil just to keep her children alive. Temujin grew up hungry, cold, despised by others. a child with no protection, no allies, and no future. And yet, this harsh world, this unforgiving crucible, is exactly what shaped him. Because the steppe taught Temujin the same lesson it taught every survivor. No one will save you. No one will protect you. Only your will, your courage, and your rage will carry you forward. And carrying that rage inside him was a boy who refused to break. A boy who understood the pain of hunger, the sting of betrayal, and the constant fear of being hunted. A boy who would one day unite these same tribes that once left him to die. The world before Genghis Khan was violent, fractured, and unstable. But it was also the perfect forge, the perfect fire to create a man capable of conquering the world. And from this fire, Temujin rose. Temujin's rise did not begin with victory. It began with survival. After his father's death and the tribe's abandonment, Temujin, his mother Hulun, and his siblings lived like ghosts on the edge of the steppe. The boy who would one day command armies of 100,000 spent his early years scavenging for food, knowing that each sunrise brought no guarantee of another. But the steppe has a cruel way of testing those who dare to live upon it. At 12, Temujin clashed with his older half-brother, Bektar, over food and authority within their broken family. The fight ended with something the steppe rarely forgave. Temujin killed him. This act, born out of desperation, was a turning point, a declaration that he would never again yield his destiny to anyone. Yet destiny had more trials waiting. Not long after, the Merkits, enemies of his family, raided their camp. They captured Temujin's young bride, Berta. For a man of the steppe, having one's wife taken was more than a loss. It was a humiliation, a stain on honor. But Temujin did not bow. He escaped, gathered allies, and launched a daring night raid on the Merkit camp. Against all odds, he rescued Berta, a victory that echoed across the steppe. Still, Temujin's true rise had only begun. To unite a land where betrayal was common and alliances fragile, he needed more than bravery. He needed a different kind of power. Temujin believed loyalty was earned, not inherited. He trusted talent over bloodline, merit over noble birth. Something no other tribal leader dared to do. And because of this, warriors flocked to him, outcasts, slaves, men who had been ignored or abused by other chiefs, men who saw in Temujin something rare, a leader who valued them for their ability, not their ancestry. His greatest ally would be Jamuka, his childhood blood brother. Two boys who had sworn to be Andas, bound together by sacred oath. But as Temujin's influence grew, so did the jealousy in Jamuka's heart. For Jamuka believed leadership belonged to the aristocratic families, to those born into privilege, not to a boy abandoned in the snow. Their friendship fractured, their oath shattered, and the steppe chose sides. One camp followed Jamuka, noble-born and traditional. The other followed Temujin, drawn to his merit-based vision. The two armies clashed in a brutal civil war. Temujin fought not just against Jamuka, but against a world that believed power was inherited, and Temujin won. With his victory came something the steppe had not seen in centuries: unity. Tribe by tribe, people by people, he dismantled the old hierarchies and forged a new order. Then, in 1206, at a vast gathering called the Kurultai, every tribe, every clan swore loyalty to one man. They lifted Temujin onto a white felt carpet and raised him to the sky. And they gave him a new name, one that would echo across the world: Genghis Khan, universal ruler. The starving boy was gone. The abandoned child was gone. The hunted youth was gone. In his place stood a force unlike anything the world had ever seen. A man born not of privilege, but of suffering. A man whose rise was carved through resilience, violence, and unbreakable will. And now that he ruled the steppe, he set his eyes on the world beyond it. The world had no idea what was coming. When Temujin became Genghis Khan, the rest of the world barely noticed. China knew nothing of him. Persia had never heard his name. Europe had no idea a storm was gathering on the eastern horizon. A storm that would soon roll across continents and rewrite the destiny of nations. But the tribes of the steppe knew. They understood that a new kind of ruler had risen. Because Genghis Khan did not simply unite the Mongols, he transformed them. He built an army that was not just powerful, but unstoppable. Not because they were the largest, not because they were the best armed, but because they were the most disciplined, organized, and strategically advanced fighting force the world had ever seen. Genghis Khan reinvented warfare. He broke traditional clan divisions, mixing warriors from different tribes into new units. This destroyed old loyalties and forged a single unified Mongol identity. Every soldier was trained to ride and shoot from childhood. They could fire arrows accurately while galloping at full speed, a skill unmatched anywhere in the world. But their true strength was not the bow nor the horse. It was organization. The Mongol army was structured with mathematical precision. Units of 10, 100, 1,000, and 10,000. Each level with its own commander, each commander selected for skill, not noble birth. Discipline was absolute. If one man deserted, the entire squad of 10 was punished. If an entire unit stood its ground and fought bravely, they were rewarded as one. Glory was shared. Shame was shared. Success was shared. Genghis Khan also created one of the first military intelligence networks in medieval history. Spies, scouts, maps, translators. He gathered information long before striking. The Mongols knew their enemies better than their enemies knew themselves. But perhaps his most revolutionary creation was the yam, a lightning-fast communication system stretching across thousands of kilometers. Riders carried messages between stations every 25 to 40 miles, switching horses instantly to maintain speed. It was the medieval equivalent of the internet, a communication network so efficient that orders could travel across the empire in days, not months. With this system, Genghis Khan could coordinate massive campaigns across multiple fronts with deadly precision. And then he turned outward. The first target was the mighty Jin dynasty in northern China, a civilization of cities, walls, wealth, and millions of people. On paper, the Jin were unbeatable. They had heavy armor, siege machines, and huge populations, but they had never faced an enemy like the Mongols. Genghis Khan adapted instantly. He hired Chinese and Muslim engineers, learned siege warfare, built catapults, constructed towers, and used psychological tactics to terrorize city defenders. Cities that resisted were crushed without mercy. Cities that surrendered were spared and absorbed. In a shock to the Chinese world, the Mongols broke through fortress after fortress, a mobile hurricane smashing the immovable walls of ancient dynasties. And once the north of China was under his control, Genghis Khan turned west. His next target was the Khwarezmian Empire, a wealthy Persian empire stretching from Iran to Central Asia. It was a decision that would change world history forever. The Khwarezmian Shah made a fatal mistake. He executed Mongol merchants and envoys, a violation Genghis Khan considered unforgivable. Diplomats were sacred, trade was sacred, and the Shah had insulted him on both counts. The response was merciless. Genghis Khan unleashed one of the most devastating military campaigns in human history. The Mongols crossed deserts, mountains, and rivers to strike the Khwarezmian Empire from all sides. Cities burned, armies vanished. The Shah fled until he died alone on an island, a king stripped of kingdom, honor, and hope. By the time the campaign ended, Central Asia was forever transformed. The Mongols now controlled trade routes, cities, and cultures stretching thousands of miles, and the world began to realize that a new superpower had emerged. A power that could not be stopped, a power that would not be denied. Genghis Khan had built more than an army. He had built a machine of conquest, a political system, a communication network, and a new kind of empire. One that would grow even larger. One that would continue expanding long after he was gone. And soon his influence would reach far beyond land and politics, all the way into the biological blueprint of humanity itself. History often remembers Genghis Khan as a destroyer, a man of fire and iron whose army left smoking ruins across continents. But behind the legend, behind the stories of brutality and conquest, was a man far more complex than the battlefield image suggests. To understand his impact, including his astonishing genetic legacy, we must understand the man himself. Genghis Khan was not educated. He never learned to read or write. He had no libraries, no tutors, no palaces. What he did have was an extraordinary memory, a near supernatural sense of intuition, and a strategic mind unmatched in his era. But his true power lay in how he understood people. Unlike most rulers of his time, he did not believe nobility came from blood. He believed greatness came from ability, loyalty, and character. A blacksmith's son could rise to command an army. A slave could become a general. A simple herder could be rewarded with the wealth of cities. This system, merit over ancestry, turned his empire into a magnet for talent. People followed him not because they had to, but because he saw value in them when others did not. He also rewrote the laws of the steppe. Genghis Khan created the Yasa, a code of laws focused on discipline, loyalty, and order. Under the Yasa, stealing was punished harshly. Lying was a serious crime. Women were legally protected. Religious freedom was guaranteed. Diplomats were sacred and untouchable. Leaders who abused power were removed, no matter their rank. In a world where chaos was normal, Genghis Khan imposed structure. In a world where women had few rights, he gave them authority in political councils and allowed them to divorce, own property, and make legal claims. In a world fractured by conflict, he encouraged trade, communication, and cultural exchange. Despite his ruthlessness in war, Genghis Khan valued loyalty above all things and rewarded it with generosity. His inner circle wasn't made of nobles. It was made of brothers, friends he trusted with his life, generals who rose from nothing, advisors from every corner of the empire. The Persian scholar Juvayni wrote that Genghis Khan could look into a man's heart and see his worth. This ability made him terrifying, but also deeply respected. Yet for all his power, he was not untouchable. He suffered grief. He lost children in battle. He mourned his beloved wife Berta. He feared betrayal more than any army. The man who conquered the world never forgot the boy abandoned on the steppe. He ate the same food as his soldiers, wore simple clothes, slept in the same tents, shared their victories and their losses. It was this humility, combined with a relentless will, that allowed him to inspire loyalty strong enough to move entire nations. But it was also this humanity, This devotion to family, legacy, and lineage that would lead to something even more extraordinary, a genetic impact that would echo through centuries. Because the man behind the legend did not only build an empire, he built a bloodline that would spread farther than any dynasty in history. For centuries, the legacy of Genghis Khan lived in stories. Tales of conquest, empire, strategy, and terror. In some regions, the numbers are even more extreme. In Kazakhstan, up to 1 in 10 men. In Mongolia, up to 1 in 5. In parts of Western China, up to 8% of the male population. The lineage was strongest in areas that were once the heart of the Mongol Empire. Its spread followed the exact routes of Mongol armies, migrations, and political control. The conclusion became clear. This genetic footprint belonged to a single dominant super lineage. A lineage so powerful, so biologically successful, that no ordinary tribe or family could have produced it. Only a dynasty could. Only a ruling family with vast political power and generational reach. Only a man whose sons and grandsons ruled from the Pacific Ocean to Europe. The simplest explanation was also the most astonishing. The genetic superlineage belongs to Genghis Khan and his immediate male descendants. How did one family spread so widely? Because the Khan lineage had already woven itself into the genetic fabric of half a continent. And even after the empire vanished, the bloodline continued. From the Turco-Mongol rulers of Central Asia, to the Mughals of India, to clans in Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, and Mongolia, the descendants of Genghis Khan kept multiplying, generation after generation. 8 centuries later, their genetic echo is still expanding. Not because the Mongols rule today, but because biology remembers power long after empires fall. The DNA shockwave unleashed by Genghis Khan was not a minor ripple in human history. It was a biological earthquake, a living legacy that continues pulsing inside millions of men across the modern world. But the question remains, how did this legacy spread so far? What forces pushed one bloodline above all others? To answer that, we must explore the empire his sons inherited and the world it reshaped. Genghis Khan died in 1227, in the shadows of the mountains he once called home. The exact circumstances of his death remain shrouded in mystery, lost in a world without written records. But the empire he built did not die with him. It surged forward under the hands of his sons and grandsons, men who inherited not only land and armies, but his vision of power, loyalty, and ruthless efficiency. Under Ögedei, the third son, the Mongol Empire expanded deeper into China, capturing the southern Jin. Under Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis, the Yuan dynasty was established in China, bringing Mongol rule to millions of people and integrating them into a vast empire. To the west, the Mongols reached the gates of Europe, sending shockwaves through Russia, Hungary, and Poland. Cities fell, armies scattered. The world had never experienced such speed, such coordination, such a fusion of terror and organization. Yet Genghis Khan's empire was more than conquest. It was a network of trade, culture, and communication. The Silk Road flourished under Mongol control, allowing goods, ideas, and technology to move faster than ever before. Scholars, merchants, and travelers, even the famous Marco Polo, traveled safely across territories that had once been deadly. And behind this expansion, his descendants continued to carry his bloodline. Each conquest, each marriage, each settlement helped spread the Khan's DNA farther than any army could march. The empire eventually fractured, dividing into khanates, each ruled by one of his sons or grandsons. But even in division, his legacy persisted. The borders he created, the trade routes he protected, and the political systems he established shaped Eurasia for centuries to come. From China to Persia, from the steppes of Mongolia to the forests of Eastern Europe, the world felt the imprint of Genghis Khan, and with it, the echo of his bloodline, carried silently by millions. Genghis Khan had become immortal, not in statues, not in scrolls, but in living, breathing human beings. Genghis Khan's empire may have fallen centuries ago, but the world he shaped is still unmistakable today. Borders across Asia, Eastern Europe, and the Middle East were redrawn by the Mongols. Nations emerged, alliances formed, and rivalries ignited in ways that still define modern geopolitics. He changed the very nature of trade. By unifying vast territories under a single rule, he secured the Silk Road, turning it into a highway for ideas, goods, and technology. Paper, printing, gunpowder, and the compass. Technologies that originated in the East traveled faster to Europe because of the Mongols. Genghis Khan also reshaped warfare. He pioneered mobile, disciplined armies, the concept of intelligence gathering, and organized logistics on a scale the world had never seen. His innovations would influence military strategy for centuries, from Timur to Napoleon, from modern generals to present-day armies. His cultural impact is equally profound. Religious tolerance, merit-based leadership, and governance innovations influenced empires long after the Mongols faded. He connected societies that had never interacted before, creating a network of trade, diplomacy, and exchange that laid the foundation for globalization. And of course, his genetic legacy persists. Millions of men today carry the mark of Genghis Khan in their DNA, a reminder that one individual's influence can ripple through time in ways no empire, monument, or text ever could. Genghis Khan was both destroyer and creator. He razed cities yet built systems. He spread terror yet fostered stability. He killed enemies yet protected traders, diplomats, and scholars. The modern world, from the borders we draw to the cultures we inherit, to the DNA inside us, is a world still bearing the imprint of the Mongol horseman who rose from the steppe and changed everything. Genghis Khan's story is not simply one of conquest. It is the story of a human being who rose from the cold, merciless steppe to change the course of history and of life itself. He was a man who destroyed cities and empires, yet built structures of governance, trade, and law. He was a warrior and a visionary, a monster and a hero, a ruler whose shadow still stretches across continents. But perhaps his most extraordinary achievement was invisible. It lives in us, in the DNA of millions, in the borders of nations, in the trade routes, the cultural exchanges, and the ideas that continue to flow across the world today. Genghis Khan reminds us that one life, forged through hardship, hunger, betrayal, and relentless determination, can leave a mark beyond imagination. That history is shaped not only by armies and empires, but by the choices, vision, and sheer will of a single individual. The boy who was abandoned, starved, and hunted on the steppe became the man who commanded continents. The man who commanded continents became the force that reshaped humanity. And the force that reshaped humanity lives on in each heartbeat, each generation, carrying the legacy of Genghis Khan, the man who changed the DNA of the world.